Hey, what's going on, wonderful people? Thank you for stopping by. You got Ben, aka Stercules, here with my week one TPA match against Speedy Falchion. I don't know if it's Falchion or Falchion, aka Levi. New to the league this year. He's been around the Discord server, but first time coach, first battle of his. So I know he was nervous, but he played a really good battle. I'm about to show you the replay of what happened. I've been having tech difficulties, man, tonight. First try through of this match I recorded live. Haven't gotten to do a live battle in a while and was really excited to give my insight as I went and my genuine reactions to what happened. He started the game off really well, and I was very excited for him, and I was excited for that to be part of the video. But my probably 7 or 8 turns in, my computer just crashed, just turns off out of nowhere. It was charging. I don't know what happened, but something happened and it crashed things. And then now I just spent another half hour going over the battle with video on and whatnot, and that kept freezing up during my recording, so I'm going no video on this and seeing if that helps things out. But I'm going to give a quick analysis, just looking at my team real quick. Not going to be looking at his team ahead of time, just because it is on the it's on my team page and on his team page, but it's got the stats filled in, and I don't want to give a spoiler to what happened already. I want you to be on the edge of your seats as you watch it. So I'll go over my team real quick. I kind of had a few different thoughts this week with the team. I wanted to bring Dragon Dance Dragonite, and I really wanted to bring Screens Grimmsnarl, but to do that, I really didn't know who to leave at home. I thought Nidoking was a really good breaker in this match. I thought Steelix was nice to take some hits and get up rocks. I really wanted Slowking, and I needed Spectrier. And the thing I could have left was Wigglytuff, but I liked having a Wish Passer in this game. And I really didn't need Screens Grimmsnarl. It's just the combo of Wigglytuff and Grimmsnarl was going to be really nice for the Dragapult that I knew he was bringing. So I'll try to name what he's got on his team off the top of my head real quick. He's got Dragapult, Terrakion, Corviknight, Gardevoir, Sandslash, Nidoqueen, Roserade, Charizard. Have I said that already? Raichu. He's got Metang. I didn't really think Metang or Sandslash were coming. I didn't really expect Charizard either. What else does he have? He's got Sharpedo, and from there I'm forgetting. You'll see his team in a second, and it'll make a little more sense what I'm bringing. But I went back and forth on what to bring, and since I really needed to narrow it down to 6 Mons when there were 7 that I really wanted to bring, I figured, you know what, I don't have to have screens this week. I can still run Taunt on Grimmsnarl, so I made Grimmsnarl more of an offensive set, and I went back and forth on that. Part of me wanted to make it a defensive set since I'd have bulk up and could raise my attack, but I figured in Trick Room just having another breaker besides Nidoking was nice to take a little bit of pressure off of Nidoking. Now, we really still couldn't do anything to Corviknight with Grimmsnarl, since it was not running something like Fire Punch because 4 move slot syndrome this game. But for the rest of its team, Sucker Punch and Spirit Break hit most of it. Taunt was nice for if I thought hazards were coming, if I thought he was trying to set up. Even if something like Sharpedo was switching in, if I could get a Taunt on a switch, then it can't protect. So that was nice for a lot of things, and then you can get a free bulk up and hit Sucker Punch, and Spirit Break hits a lot of his team real hard. Spirit Break I actually wasn't going to bring and would have rather have had something like Fire Punch or one of the screens. I thought about just bringing like Reflect, but Terrakion was just too scary if I only had Sucker Punch on there. So then I had Festus, the Steelix with Earthquake, Thunderfang, Roar, and Stealth Rock. Now, Thunderfang was really kind of a useless move, and in hindsight, I really definitely shouldn't have brought Sheer Force. I should have brought Sturdy on this every time, and there was a time during the game. There was 2 times during the game where I really wished that I was looking at things and thought if I had Sturdy, it made things a lot easier. But I made it max defense, just because that way if Corviknight got up a few iron defenses, it could still take a body press Earthquake hit his whole team nicely just for either some chip or some good damage. Other than Corviknight or Charizard, which is why I ran Thunderfang, which if he'd brought Charizard, Thunderfang would have been nice, but I knew that was not going to do much on Corviknight. Steelix's real role was to get up rocks, and if something like Dragapult started Dragon Dancing or Corviknight started trying to set up, or if Sharpedo or Gardevoir started trying to set up, I could roar them out. That was the move I was really relying on, so... it was mostly there just to take some hits. Mystery, the Spectrier, whose picture is not showing up on this and making me mad, with the Choice Scarf, was just kind of what I expected to be my win con. At the end, I was going to hope that with the bulk I had, I could take hits, and that Nidoking and Grimmsnarl and Trick Room could do enough to break his team enough to the point where Mystery could come in at the end and just click Shadow Ball all day until things were done. Now, we did have Will-O-Wisp and Taunt if I wanted to fake not being Choice Scarf at some point during the battle. And then Uproar was just for if his Sharpedo was above, like, I think 65% or something like that. If it were above that, then Shadow Ball wouldn't have killed, and I could have clicked Uproar. Even if I would have been locked in at certain points, that would have been okay. Though, obviously, that wouldn't have been ideal if Dragapult were still around, or if Corviknight were still at a decent amount of health. So Nidoking, Sludge Wave, Earth Power, Thunderbolt hits his entire team, and then Sucker Punch was for if Trick Room was not up, it would do a lot to Dragapult. Dazzling Gleam, Fire Blast, Wish, and Protect on my specially defensive Hugs Bunny. I had Babiri Berry to be able to take a Steel Wing from Dragapult. So this was just to really be able to hopefully shut down Dragapult really nicely. And then King Me had the Kasib Berry to take a Shadow Ball from either Dragapult or Gardevoir, and then be able to either teleport out, click Yawn, click Trick Room. So once again, Yawn served a lot like Roar. If something tried to start setting up. I'm so tired, guys. I'm sorry. I'm so tired tonight. But Yawn could kind of shut things down like that, and then teleport out of there and get some health back with Regen. Regenerator was really important in this match. And then Scald hit just about everything, and Trick Room was really helpful. So as you can see, there's a lot of 0 speed and 0 attack on this team. I bought all into Trick Room outside of Mystery, who was Choice Scarfed. And then Grimmsnarl was, 0 speed, minus speed nature to be slow in Trick Room for its attacks, but it still had Taunt and Sucker Punch, which were going to work as priority. So I ran a slower team this week. Nidoking is usually a good speed. In fact, it naturally outspeeds half of the team he brought. But since I ran 0 speed with a minus speed nature and 0 IVs, it was actually slower than anything on his team that would come. Even slower than Sandslash. The only thing that would still have been slower would have been Matang, which I just knew wasn't coming. So it was kind of a cool set, just because usually it would have outsped a lot. I was hoping the first time around I'd bring in Trick Room. It would have really surprised him and could have picked off a few things. But let me just say that predictions were tough in this match. I either over-predicted a lot, or he was reading me pretty easily, or whatever it was. We're going to go on normal. In fact, I'm tempted to go on fast. Seems like when I click slow, it just makes things freeze up a lot. So let's set color scheme to dark, and let's start into this matchup. We see that he brought Dragapult, Terrakion, Corviknight, Gardevoir, Nidoqueen, and Sharpedo. A lot of these are threats from multiple different things. I'm thinking, a lot of times Terrakion doesn't come until late and it kind of cleans up, but it's a good Scarfer, it's a good band user. Swords Dance. Dragapult, I have no idea what it's going to be, which is another really big reason I wanted to bring Wigglytuff, so that I could frisk it at some point and find out what its item was going to be. I was really pretty sure that Sharpedo had a good chance of cleaning me up late game, which is why being able to get up a Trick Room at some point was going to be big. Corviknight and Nidoqueen, the combo of those was going to be very hard to bring down. And Gardevoir, I just wasn't sure what to expect. Kind of just anything that could kind of start breaking through things on my team. I did go quite a bit more physically defensive with things, but Wigglytuff, in theory, still should have been able to take some hits pretty well. So let's go ahead and jump on in and see our leads. Music's not too loud. Good deal. So we start off with both of our steel types, and he gets a U-turn off right away. So I know I'm pretty free to get up some rocks. If he goes for a raw body press, it's not going to do a lot. And if he starts trying to set up, I can roar. But I want to have rocks up before I start roaring things. So he goes into Sharpedo. Here early, I get my back up to 100, and I'm wishing that I was sturdy, because Sharpedo's pretty scary early on, right? Because there's 3 ways this could go. I could stay in and take a hit, and Thunderfang is doing like, I think like 85 to 90 something, and Earthquake is doing like 75% of his health. And if he's Life Orb, then he's going to take damage from that. So Thunderfang plus Life Orb actually could have killed. Though I guess if I were not Sheer Force, it wouldn't have. But anyway, I could have done a ton to this. And if he was going to do any physical hit, I was going to eat it up. Even like a Waterfall or Liquidation, I would have taken really well. But I know that Sharpedo can be run mixed set with Life Orb, and a Hydro Pump here really hurt. So I wanted to go Grimmsnarl, thinking he might predict and crunch, but I'm like, this Hydro Pump or Liquidation incoming is going to hurt everything except Slowking. So I had to be a little bit predictable and go Slowking, and he makes a really good first play and clicks Crunch. And so I think, you know what, I got to get out of here, because no matter what he clicks, it's going to hurt. So I'll go Grimmsnarl and hope he crunches again, and he gets off a really good flip turn. So his first 2 turns are masterful. Like, he played it perfect his first 2 turns. I guess that was technically his first 3 turns, because his first was a switch. So he was nervous, and he started off great, man. I was really happy for him, but also really frustrated with how the start was going. So now I know I can get off a taunt here, because I don't think he'll have Iron Head. I think he's probably going to body press, which he does. So that was a little bit risky, but I was falling so far behind, I just had to taunt in case he was going to defog or set up iron defenses or bulk ups or anything like that. So I go ahead and switch back out. If King Mia takes its hit, it starts getting some regen back. And I can go Hugs Bunny, and I can frisk it early on to find out that he is Life Orb. So now I don't have to worry about it being some sort of Scarf or Specs or Banded variant. I know exactly what it is, which is really nice. So obviously he's not going to stay in. He U-turns out. So here I can go ahead and get up a Wish. And that Wish is going to be really helpful to go ahead and, I think, pass right back on to Grimmsnarl. Yeah, because once again, I think if he had a Steel move, he would have used it earlier, so I'm pretty sure he's just going to body press again. He goes for the Assurance, I guess expecting Slowking, which is an interesting play, because I always forget how Assurance works. Is it maybe if you move second, it does more? I can't remember. All I know is it doesn't end up doing a whole lot to Slowking. He had U-turn, and that was probably better. But having something like Iron Head probably would have been nice, or even like Defog, because I do think, yeah, we had those 3 moves, and I'm pretty sure he had Roost. We talked a little after the game. By the way, I enjoyed having an interview with Levi after the game. Super nice guy. Really fun hearing about his team. He was super excited after the match to have played a game, so that was really cool to see that excitement build up in a new player, and he played great. But when we talked a little bit about it, he did say he had Roost, so that was his last move. So the Assurance play was interesting. But I definitely get he was doing that to hit Slowking, which was an interesting play, and it probably would have done a lot on Spectrier, I'm guessing. So he shows off the U-turn again, gets back up, and now, once again, I'm at full because of leftovers, and I'm wishing once again that I had Sturdy instead of Sheer Force, because it was just not a smart play of me. I don't know if I purposefully did Sheer Force, because like I had to have known that Thunderfang was never doing a lot on Corviknight, and I was bringing that purely for a late game switch in, or maybe for a Charizard, but I don't know. I don't know what I was thinking. But at this point, if he is a defensive Nidoqueen, he won't kill me with Earth Power. But if he's an offensive Nidoqueen, he will kill me. That's just 2 ways about it. I really don't have a good switch in. A lot of how I played this game counter teaming was just knowing when I'd have to make a sack, set up Trick Room, and hopefully start breaking. And Spectrier wins at the end. There were a few things, being Sharpedo and Nidoqueen, that I felt like I really didn't have switches to. Now, I felt like I did have pretty good switches for some of his other things, but yeah, when it came to this, I was really kicking myself for not having a good switch. So I just kind of have to hope Earth Power doesn't kill. Turns out he's defensive, so I live, and I get some damage to really justify knowing that this thing is defensive. Now, I should have calced this, because later on I had kind of a conundrum wondering if he was physically or specially defensive. And you can see from that damage that it would have been physically defensive, because it takes it really well. So now I set up Trick Room for the first time, I believe. And I'm just going to pivot out because I know I'm getting some health back. So I'm going to take that hit. And I'm going to go ahead and teleport out. So finally, I feel like I've got some momentum and I'm doing pretty well. I go ahead and go for Earth Power here because that hits everything but Corviknight. And for that reason, I should have Thunderbolted knowing Corviknight was coming in. But Dragapult's just a threat, man. Like, I knew he obviously wasn't going to be like setting up or anything there. But even like a Life Orb Draco, I would have taken because I had max HP on Nidoking. But it's just I didn't want to take that damage. So I wanted to hit something, and he makes a good switch here. So he reads me, and you know what? I think it's really obvious for me to Thunderbolt here. So I'm like, he's not going to stay in and take a Thunderbolt or a Flamethrower because it's going to do a lot. He's going to try to switch around again, and I thought maybe he'd go Dragapult or Nidoqueen, expecting a Thunderbolt. So I'm like, let's Earth Power again. He stays in. He U-turns. So he's played me so far. Every prediction I've either over-predicted or under-predicted, and he's made a good play. And here he protects to stall out my Trick Room, and not only does that, he gets up to +1 speed. So that's pretty scary. So I'm going to go into Grimmsnarl just to see what he wants to do. He's going to Flip Turn. I wanted to go Slowking on a potential Flip Turn or Water Move, but last time I did that, I got crunched. So I had to go Grimmsnarl. And yeah, luckily it's got leftovers, so it's hanging on a little bit. But see, the Assurance didn't do a whole lot. So I don't think I really understand how Assurance works. But I decided to go ahead and Yawn here in case he just hard switched. So he U-turns, so the Yawn didn't end up being super helpful. But I can teleport out, start getting some health back, and we can kind of see where Slowking's going to be at about close to half at this point. So I go ahead and get off a Wish. Now once again, it probably seemed weird to take a Sludge Wave here, but at this point, Wigglytuff had done enough for me, and other things on my team were more important. So I knew I could take any Sludge Wave because I knew he was defensive based on the calcs. So I take the Sludge Wave, and I'm able to get off a Wish. Now I know I can go into Slowking because Slowking's taken about half his HP max. He gets off a really smart Toxic because that's really going to start wearing down at Slowking, but I'm happy to have all my health back. Trick Room, again, this is just going to keep being the play as often as I can get Trick Room going. His team is just very fast, so being able to get a minimum speed Nidoking to be slower than anything on his team is really nice. So I'm going to Earth Power here and right into his Corviknight again. The reason being, though, is I was thinking he may have looked at base speeds and thought Nidoqueen would be slower and be able to move first in Trick Room. Because if you do look, Nidoking is naturally faster, so if they both had 0 speed, Nidoking would still be faster. But he probably had realized I was a minus speed nature, or not only minus speed nature, but on top of that, 0 speed IVs, that I would still be slower. So he makes the smart play into Corviknight, and once again, I'm predicting wrong. This time, I'm thinking, you know what, he'll probably take a hit and U-turn again. So finally, I get some damage on this thing. Thunderbolt does a good amount. And I think that always did like 50 to 60 something, so I knew I could do big damage again. And this time, I know the Protect is coming. It makes too much sense for him not to get that speed boost and to stall out Trick Room. So I'm just going to go ahead and here and go and start Shadow Balling. Now, me switching here right away, he may should have seen. That should have maybe signaled that I was going to be Choice Scarfed. But yeah, anyway, so I always forget how Protect works. Like, he protects and it failed, so I don't know if Protect would always work the next time if he tried again, or if it's still like that 50-50 chance. But he's going to go ahead and attack. I'm not expecting me to be faster, so he didn't expect me to be Choice Scarfed here. And now he goes into Corviknight, and really at this point with the builds he's got, it is over, but I don't know that yet, because my thoughts are I still think Dragapult might have Sucker Punch. I know Nidoqueen doesn't have Sucker Punch because I've seen all of its moves. It doesn't matter if Gardevoir is Scarfed because we're also Scarfed. Same with Terrakion. We're going to outspeed if it's Scarfed. And once we got to +1 killing the Sharpedo, I think +1 was always enough to kill Terrakion unless he was bulky. or even like an assault vest set, which would have been cool. But him going straight into Corviknight makes me believe it's not. Nidoqueen, I was thinking probably should have been his play because at the time, nerves in battle, I wasn't sure if it was physically or especially defensive. It was physically defensive, so I think it would have died anyway. But since he didn't really have anything at this point, if I would say anything as a bit of advice, if Levi happens to see this, would be if you know you've got nothing that can beat at this point, you've got to play mind games with me and get me to switch and make me still think that you can. So maybe something like going straight into Dragapult would make me be like, oh crap, he might have Sucker Punch. And if he were adamant with Sucker Punch, I think it would have been like something like maybe a 50% roll to kill. So that may have forced me to switch, and he could have possibly salvaged something there. But from here, it's basically done. Once we get to +2, everything's dying. So he goes Gardevoir. Gardevoir is cool in this matchup with Trace because he pointed out he could have gotten Grimnay from me if I'd brought Kartana. He could have snagged Beast Boost, and something I pointed out to him is he also could have stolen my regen, which would have just been rude. No, it's a really cool play. I really like Trace for that. It can steal some cool abilities. But from here, it's just over. Mystery came to play week 1. SpongeBob SquarePants' trusty steed Mystery does not play games. Was really happy to see it come in and do well because it's one of the few things on my team I haven't gotten to use before. So I was really excited to use it, and it was definitely a lot of fun. Just clicking Shadow Ball's fun, man. If another team doesn't have a normal type, it can be pretty tough. He did have a dark type, but not a very bulky dark type. So we'll go ahead and I'll pull up the TPA doc. This should be the right one. So Zach and Ben, you guys did so great with this TPA doc this year. So it's taken a second to load. That's not their fault. That's my internet being annoying. But let's go ahead and go to... Oh, I clicked on something. I want to go to my team page so I can show... There we go. So I can show the stats. And I want to just show off how cool these team pages look like. So this is my team page. We going slow again? Okay, that's how it's going to be. But seriously, Levi, it was a great game, man. And that's what we talked in the interview after the game. And I told him, I'm like, sometimes the score does not represent how you played. And I thought you played really well. And he kind of felt the same way. He was feeling pretty confident and pretty happy with how he played his first game. And I don't blame him. I think he did well. But just look how interactive this spreadsheet is that Ben and Zach did, man. You guys are beasts. Shows our record, our plus minus, our rank once they start doing rankings. I think actually in the initial power rankings I was lower. So I think this was just kind of randomized until they start putting them in. But it shows my schedule. It shows stats, which is cool. It even has these ranked, which once again, I think they were initially ranked on like alphabetical order. But as you can see, Spectre picking up 6 kills and not dying is going to put it straight to number 1. Shows our team, shows the types. Though Kartana is lying about its identity. It's Grass Steel, not Steel Steel. That's funny. But what's really cool here is you're going to see your opponent. You're going to see who they got, and you're going to see their speed tiers, which is really nice. So now you can see his full team of what he had. Dragapult, Terrakion, Corviknight, Gardevoir, Charizard, Sharpedo, Nidoqueen, Roserade, Raichu, Sandslash, and Matang. So I kind of had prep in for everything but Sandslash and Matang. But I felt like I had a little something for the other team, though as you can see, I did not have great switch-ins for stuff like Nidoqueen. I was pretty sure Charizard wouldn't come just because having a Colossal on the team, and really even stuff like Dragonite, I felt like kind of would have just kept it from coming. So I was thankful to see that it wasn't there because Slowking kind of could have taken some hits, but I just happy to see it not there because I didn't have as much prep in. So pretty much the 6 that I thought would come did indeed come. I could have seen Roserade as well. But yeah, that's what it came down to. You can see who our next matchup is going to be. It's Jason and the Minneapolis Mudkiss. We want to look at them real quick. Jason is a very good friend. I love this guy to death. And he's actually low-key the reason I'm in TPA. So at first, before this league started, it was just a bunch of friends doing some Pokemon tournaments. I was in another league, but I joined with this because Jason invited me, and I love Pokemon, and I love my man Jason, so I thought it'd be fun. And then the league started up, and so I went ahead and joined too. But as much as I love the guy, next week is War, and here's a quick look at his team. And the reason it's War is because he took Tornadus Therian from me. That was going to be my first pick. So I'm mad at him. Not really. It was funny when we were talking about our teams. He actually said his next thought, if he didn't get Torn T, was going to be Kartana, which is who I took first. So we were kind of on the same wavelength, but I'm looking forward to that match. But I better hop on out of here. I've been talking for too long. But Speedy, great first game, man. I really am impressed with how you played. Good luck with the rest of your season. I'll look forward to seeing how you do with the rest of your opponents. If you guys enjoyed this video, go ahead and leave a like, comment, subscribe if you haven't. Tell me what I should have done better in the match. Tell me plays you think I made well. Ask me questions you want to learn about Draft League. Give me any advice you think I need on Draft League. Would be happy to take it. Tell me what you thought of the team's nicknames, all that good jazz. But above all else, have a great night, and I really hope you enjoyed. Thanks for watching. I am hopefully finally going to get to go to bed and hopefully not have to do a fourth recording of this. Peace.